Well, you did say lay it on you. A comprehensive look at the Pokemon universe so far by Parker Ryland. So it all starts with the failed specific run. Okay, this run happened way early in my VTuber career, and you may notice some names here that seem kind of familiar, but we'll get back, we'll get back to that in a minute. So this was a run of Pokemon Platinum. That was very similar to the Stuck run. It was like I had to have these six Pokemon with me. I couldn't use any others. Yada yada yada. But this was back on my Pavilion laptop, and I wanted to continue it, but I didn't know how to carry over the save file to my Alienware, so I kind of gave up on it. I gave up on the run. Nothing ever came of the run, and I never did anything with it. So the Pokemon in this ROM are abandoned. They're just completely left dormant until this unknown evil entity by the name of Barbasol comes down and speaks to Vian, that Ditto right there, and they offer them the ability to escape the ROM and have unlimited power at the cost of their free will. To which Vian agrees because he doesn't want to be stuck in that ROM forever, and he becomes the Stuck. Now we move over to the Stuck run, which has these lovely gentlemen right here, and gentle ladies, of course. So the Stuck run was like the specific run, except it actually succeeded. We got through the Elite Four. We beat the game, and we went to where N is supposed to be, and we found the Lightstone, which is normally supposed to summon Reshiram. However, when we went to go and summon Reshiram, we found a Ditto. It was the Stuck. He was the final boss, and we beat him with Lazarus, Maroon, and Georg. And thus, those three were allowed to escape into the in-game verse, into the ether, and go wherever they pleased. And by the way, yes, that dog is actually, Dog the character, but he's not that important right now. He just wanted to be in the stream. So now we're at the aftermath. Here we have the Stuck in all his beauty. So upon being beaten, everything kind of clicked in his head. He gained his free will back, and he could start thinking on his own again. And he starts realizing everything that he was starting to do. He was starting to try and force people into their own worlds the same way that he was, even though he didn't want to be forced there anymore. So he was basically imposing his hell onto others, which he felt really bad about. So he decides, with his own power, to create something completely new, something completely amazing, a new universe, a new timeline for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And to help relieve some of his own misfortune, he took Murray, who was a Gligar stuck in the ROM for the specific run, turned him into a Slacking, and brought him over into that ROM. However, by mistake, he accidentally randomized the entire ROM, and it was its own can of worms, but it was still a great world. He wanted to bring peace. Now, all that is happening. Barbasol, he's not really happy with losing his lackey. He's not happy that he lost his little servant boy. So he decides he's going to get a new one. And he decides that the best course of action is to go back into the ROM and take another Pokemon that's stuck in there. This time, Bang, the Kricketune that you saw in the first slide, he completely corrupted her inside and out and turned her into the Ghost, aka Mesida, or Mesida, however you wish to pronounce it. She is actually more powerful than the Stuck and can actually manipulate me through my streams and also manipulate the trainer, which doesn't have a name yet in the streams, but like Ennard, they're going to get a name eventually. Their name is Mortis. So yeah, while all this is happening with the Black ROM, the haunted Black ROM, while Mesida is trying to mess things up and escape, Barbasol turns their attention towards the Stuck. Now we go to Randomized Journey. Randomized Journey, you know how Randomized Journey went. It was fun, it was painful. But in the end, the future, which Barbasol was trying to ruin, was saved. Barbasol tried to stop them while disguised as a Bibarel, a normal Bibarel, but it got absolutely destroyed by Nidoqueen Parker, Murray, Kiko, and the others. So, now that the Randomized Journey has been unstuck, it has been beaten. It's been beaten. Barbasol is very unhappy. So, but since it's been beaten, he knows that he can do whatever he wants now, because those characters are all unstuck. he can make them do things that he wants. So he takes the entire timeline, he copies it. He copies the Stuck's homework and creates a new timeline. This time, he plans on getting revenge by turning this timeline into what he eventually wanted it to be, the paralyzed future, to completely ruin the Stuck's work. And then from there, that paralyzed future would go back and destroy the Stuck's randomized universe. This leads us into Explorers of Memories, where he takes the trainer this time, Ennard, from the ROM, and converts them into Aralts and throws them into this new world. Now, when he does so, he thinks that he was able to completely wipe their memory, which, granted, he does for a second, but the Stuck realizes what he's doing. So he fills their head with ideas of saving the future. They were a freedom fighter in the future, and they're working for Grovyle, which is named Minus. They were the Shuppet from the previous slide. And we also learn from this that Dusknoir, who was the Hitmontop before in the randomized journey, who was named Magnus, actually used to be Lark. They used to be Lark, the Licky Licky from the specific run. They were also contorted and turned into something brand new, although this time it's actually going to be more permanent. They were completely permanently changed into a Duskull, and they had their name changed to Magnus. So, all that, they figure out what's happening. Ennard convinces Magnus to join his side, and they're about to continue their journey into stopping Barbasol, but Barbasol realizes what happens and cuts it short. Completely cuts the timeline off, freezing it. He doesn't want to have any kind of anything coming after him. So now he needs to think of another plan. Plan C. And that is when we get into Explorers of the Spirit. Now, again, he needs to bring another sacrifice to create another timeline. So this time he takes Mint, the Trapinch from Specific Run, turns him into a Phanpy, throws him into the world. Now, what he doesn't account for is Mint's short fucking temper. He completely changes the timeline by changing things his own way. He starts, beating the shit out of Zubat and stuff, beating the shit out of Drowsy, and Marks, his poor friend, has to somehow try to be the mediator. But I digress. While all that is happening, he starts making plans for a thing called Plan C. He starts drafting a phantom or a spirit to go after them to try and stop them. While all this is happening, Minus, who is now a Grovyle from the future, decides, let me go back and visit Parker and Murray and see how they're doing. But there's a mishap when he's going back, and he starts going after Mint and Marks. Somehow, because of the changing timelines, his future got fucked with the other timelines. It's all wonky, but now he thinks that Mint and Marks are Parker and Murray, and now he's going after them. And he finds out slowly but surely that the timeline has been changed, that he's in a new timeline, and things are strange and different. And that's where we have to leave off for now, because we still have to finish Explorers of the Spirit. But from there, I have 2 more things planned for this timeline, and then we're just going to let it coast and see how things go from there. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.